Now, the issue of what to do with Lester Park golf course land went before city leaders again tonight. At this evening's Committee of the Whole meeting, Duluth City Councilors received a presentation of the land use study results. Now, the study, done in coordination with a consultant, calls for the 270-acre former golf course to be split up into two areas. Now, the north 207 acres of the property would be natural and recreation areas. The southern 63 acres would be meant for development. The city hopes that will satisfy the desire for green space and need for housing.
Small apartments through cluster homes, kind of that tier or scale of housing, that was really the strongest desire for the types of housing that should occur here in the neighborhood. But then arranged in a manner that is compact, it's a walkable, there's a lot of activity and life that happens here.
Infrastructure.
The councilors asked questions tonight about certain aspects of the study. They will vote on whether to move forward with the study results at Monday's council meeting.